fuck's sake. Okay, there it goes. I don't know why it's running so choppy. Probably just because the thing wasn't set up. Alright.
It seems to be running now just fine now.
Yeah, because I actually brought the window up. One of these days I'll get like a stream is starting load screen. And then I'll be able to like do this tweeting the link out shit. I don't think I've ever actually heard the full version of the Pokemon theme for Gen 3. Kind of an interesting way to finally hear that for real. Yes, but we're all set and ready to go. And if people decide to show up, then they decide to show up, as usual. Yeah, so this is Pokemon Blazing Emeralds. The audio's a little loud in my ears.
Most of the time we didn't stick around that long.
What? Sorry, what? I didn't catch that. Alright. Okay. Yeah, this is Pokemon Blazing Emerald. This is a ROM hack made by a creator named Strudelmuffin. I'm going to see if I can shrink my ugly mug down a little bit. Yeah, Pokemon Blazing Emerald is... Sorry, what? Are we having connection issues with you? Shit. Streamer mode is enabled. It is truncated. Oh, it's being super choppy? Oh, that's unfortunate. I was wondering if it was a issue with like the thing going into streamer mode. Welp. I don't know. It's like I have issues with the fucking thing being the fucking thing telling me, "Oh, your bitrate is super low," and I'm like, I don't know how to fix that. Oh,
that's just a Wi-Fi problem.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it seems okay now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's scuff is to be expected when this is like your second time doing this overall. But yeah, we might as well get started. Yeah. So Pokemon Blazing Emerald is a ROM hack made by a user named Strudelmuffin, and it is not just my favorite Pokemon ROM hack, but it's also probably my favorite Pokemon game experience ever, honestly, which is, saying a lot.
That's very high praise, very high praise. I've never ever... I know of Pokemon ROM hacks, but I've never actually played any of them, and I've never heard of Blazing Emerald till now.
I mean, the thing is that I've tried to get into other Pokemon ROM hacks. The only other one I finished was a Pokemon XD ROM hack called Pokemon XG Next Generation, which was really good, but also had a little bit of like difficulty balancing issues. But this is just the first time I played this, I just blitzkrieged through it in like a handful of days. It was so much fun. And it's a game I still go back to every so often.
Oh, hence why you're streaming it.
Yeah, hence why I'm streaming it. Yeah, there's one of the big things is that it just gives you a lot of like custom options with how to play the game. you can sort of customize your trainer appearance. It has a difficulty setting, and it lets you pick. What. It gives you a pretty wide variety of starter Pokemon to pick from. We have a choice between standard starters and custom starters. The standard starters will give you Pikachu, Eevee, and Clefairy, whereas the custom starters give you a whole bunch of other options. And the other big thing about this...
Sorry, just Eevee, Pikachu, Clefairy. That's a very interesting type of ones to start with. You'd think that Eevee would be the clear advantage.
It kind of is, honestly. But the other big thing that this ROM hack does that I think is really cool is that it has what are called Hoennian forms, and it also has a couple of, like, a completely original Fakemon as well.
Because that looks like a Goodra.
Yeah, it's a Goomy, but it's a Hoennian form of Goomy, and it actually doesn't evolve into Goodra, it evolves into something completely different.
Ah. So, is this hack, like, updated with more modern Pokemon mechanics, or is it based off the Gen 3 engine?
It does have some more modern mechanics, like, for example, physical special slit is one thing. I was kind of disappointed, because, like, I wanted Dan and Farah to be part of this stream, but they're working at this time.
Yeah, I think Farah's still streaming at the moment.
Yeah, he might be. And he said he's got work afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, time zones.
I know. Like, I mean, at least with, like, Farah, he still lives in the US, but, with Dan, it's negotiating time zones too.
Yeah, that's just internet friendships in general, I've found.
Yeah. I wanted Dan in particular because one of the Hoennian forms is actually a Bisharp. And I thought he'd be pretty interested in that.
I mean, it is his favorite Pokemon.
Yeah. It is actually one of my favorite, new regional form Pokemon that they put into this hack.
Oh, they added portraits. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like character portraits for important characters. Some of them look a little weird, honestly, but like a lot of them look really, really good.
Yeah, they have different expressions as well. It's not just the same blank stare.
Yeah, the thing, I will say that this game does not change the story of Pokemon Emeralds, which, like, I mean, it's, a Pokemon game, so what story? Honestly, but like, everything else, like, in terms of the gameplay, I think is just super fun.
It's like the Emerald version of Emerald.
The Emerald version of Emerald. But, like, there's so many different options. For example, obviously we have the difficulty setting. Normal, you have I think it's the shift battle style, the one that lets you switch for free. And hard mode, you're kind of stuck on, I think it's, I don't remember it's the one where you can't switch after you KO.
Yeah, that's set.
Yeah, set battle. Yeah, and you have the ability to have experience go to the whole party, which admittedly is kind of broken in this hack because it just straight up gives the kill experience to every member of your party. It does not decrease the amount that non-active party members get, like the modern experience share does. You also have different character outfits.
That makes single kind of pointless, because I would have assumed that what they would do is single, you get the full experience and don't divide it, but with party, it's divided.
Yeah. If I do have a small criticism about that whole how it handles EXP distribution, it's that it does mean that there isn't much point to like having weaker Pokemon out in front, because they'll just gain the amount of experience that they would normally get, just from being in reserve.
The outfits are cool, obviously. Pokemon Gen 3 had some very nice sprites and stuff like that. It is funny. I feel Game Freak and Intelligent Systems are kind of in the same bracket. They're great at sprite work. They can't make 3D character models for shit.
Yeah. I mean, Engage was fine.
Engage was good.
Like Engage, I think was good. It's just that the art style was maybe like not the best that could have shown off. But like in terms of pure graphical fidelity, it was just, you know, it just blows every other 3D Fire Emblem out of the water.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. 3D Fire Emblem was never particularly. The only time I thought it was impressive was on the 3DS, but also that's because you're not expecting as much. You know, lack of feet be damned.
Yeah.
Even like Three Houses was pretty basic looking game.
Yeah, well, Three Houses, I think the character models looked pretty good. It's just the environments were kind of messy.
Yeah, it's funny though. Some of the character models in Three Houses look a bit better than the Engage ones. Some, like Edelgard in Three Houses, looks better than she does in Engage. But that's, you know, the exception rather than the rule.
That, I think, is just a case of, like, the art style, because it makes Edelgard, like, weirdly chubby-cheeked and, like... Yeah.
It's other things as well, because, like, I've looked at it. I think just her model in the thing has a higher polygon count, and, like, the hair's more divided. There's more detail in there.
Oh, I wouldn't have put that together. Yeah.
Fair enough. It's just one of those things where, again, it's under the microscopic lens. To some people, it doesn't really matter, because in the Engage art style, some characters look really good, others don't, as you mentioned.
Yeah. I know, it's, you know, you have stuff like Ike being significantly less buff in the Engage art style than he should be.
He went from
shit like that.
Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball. He went from Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah. My big complaint with the Engage art style is that a lot of the character is that every character looks like a fucking teenager, which is so it's weird, and it makes like certain characters just have this it like dances up to that line of like anime's bad habit of sexualizing underage characters.
Well, with Engage's case, it's you're either a teenager or you're old.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like, oh, I'm 35. Why'd you have a fucking grey beard then?
Oh yeah, that one woman who, the one warrior woman who it looks like she's in her 60s, but she's 36 for some reason. Yeah.
Because anime don't know how to do ages. All right, so anyway, we've got
we've got a lot of starter Pokemon here. We can pick because I picked the custom starters. We can pick from Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Chikorita, Cyndaquil. I'm sure you're happy about that. Totodile, Trico, Torchic, Mudkip, Solosis, Hoennian Solosis, Trapinch, Spinarak, Hoennian Tynamo, Spoink, Porygon, Pawniard, Hoennian Pawniard, Murkrow, Duskull, Vulpix, Sunkern, Spheal, Corphish, Dratini, Larvitar, Hoennian Dreepy, Bagon, Beldum, and Gibble. For this play...
All I'm saying is you start with a Porygon. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah. It is actually kind of beneficial to start with certain ones of these Pokemon, because some of them are actually really annoying to find otherwise. The other complaint I have about this game is that there's a handful of encounter rates that are like 2% or 1%, and like I hate that shit.
It's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun at all.
I know regular Pokemon games do it, but that's usually quite rare. Also, this guy's carrying a lot of Pokemon.
Oh wow! Holy shit! Modest nature right off the gate, and this is a special attacker.
Nice. And
Unfortunately, it got Technician, which is the worst of its two abilities, but that's actually not that big of a deal for reasons that we'll see later.
Well, especially early on when your moves will appreciate that boost.
Mm-hmm. That is also true.
Yeah, like right now, that Ember's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Some of these new regional form Pokemon are really a little overpowered. Like I think it was actually worse in certain earlier versions, because like they had one Pokemon that was like it had a base 150 attack stat and got stab extreme speed, which
That's
is
not
like
funny.
Yeah, and it also learned Swords Dance.
Yeah. You know what it might be? Because some of these Pokemon, obviously they're from newer games, and Pokemon had a natural power creep, so they're just gotta be stronger.
Well, also it's just, you know, it's also just like fan games. You know, fan games sometimes have this tendency to like
embellish the characters.
Yeah, to like, you know, throw in shit that people think is cool, and then they don't think about the actual ramifications of it. God knows I've done that with some of my old Fire Emblem ROMHacks.
But you know, cool is where it's at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I'm going to nickname this Dreepy the same thing that I like to name these dragon Pokemon. Dracossack, which is a reference to a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's actually a bit funny. It's like every YouTuber who I've watched who talks about Mecha Phantom Beast Dracossack, they call it Dracossack, which it's like
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. That sounds like you're talking about a Dragon's Ball sack.
Hey, it reminds me of that joke in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, the first episode. I guess you're here for the Dragon Balls. The Dragons what?
I actually saw this video. I didn't. I say saw like I watched it, but like I saw the thumbnail for it. It was like, "Is Dragon Ball Z Abridged ethical?" And I'm like, I'm.
Abridged series.
It may just be a case of like, because the Team 4-Star team has gone on to like do animations with the characters. Maybe it might be a thing. I don't know. I didn't watch it because I'm like, okay, like I'm torn between like this is kind of an interesting question, and this is a trying too hard, thinking about it a little too much type of question, and I can't decide which of it actually is.
Based on recent interactions on Twitter, I think it's kind of leaning towards the latter, because there was someone who did this like, this whole enough time has passed, I'm gonna put out an opinion that's just flat out wrong type thing.
Yeah.
So basically, there was one going around where there's like, can we all just admit that Team 4-Star have ruined Dragon Ball? And it's like, no.
Yeah. I mean, like, admittedly, I can kind of see the logic, because like I would rather watch Team 4-Star's Dragon Ball Z Abridged than like watch the actual Dragon Ball show. Like even the Kai dub, but that's just a case of Dragon Ball Z is an old anime, and like compared to certain modern standards that we have, it's gonna feel a little slow paced.
Not to mention Team 4-Star's the Dragon Ball Z Abridged is perfectly Dara, this is an emulator. This isn't physical cartridge.
Yeah, this is emulated on my PC. It's actually the only way I can record game footage, honestly, because I do not have a capture card, and I also do not have a good space to record off of a console in my house. Yeah.
But as I was saying, but also Dragon Ball Z Abridged is a comedy series, so it's probably going to be more enjoyable on the grounds that it's funnier. Dragon Ball Z is a shonen anime. It's going to have its slow moments, but it's primarily there for the fighting. Whereas GBZ Abridged, it cuts out pretty much all of that and just gets straight to the jokes.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people who, like, they clown on Dragon Ball Z, and I always feel a little bit weird when it comes to stuff when it comes to media that's important, but, has, shows its age. It's like, I mean, obviously you have stuff like the original Legend of Zelda is the one that I go to, is like, it's like, how do you reconcile the fact that the game is maybe not super fun to play with the fact that it
changed the landscape.
It kind of changed the landscape of gaming by, introducing the save feature and having the game like be a full-on like explorative adventure, and also the fact that you had other games from the time like Hydlide that essentially did the same thing, but did it poorly, like even more so than just Zelda, not having aged well by virtue of not having a map.
Oh, they had a knockoff cartridge? Oh, okay. Yeah, and sometimes you do see those kind of knockoff things at vendors, but no, this one is just definitely a emulator thing. But in that case, in that particular place, Zane, I would say it's a case of you can respect you can respect it for all it does, and you won't actively say that it's like awful or like clown on it, but you just don't enjoy it, or you can see that it has faults and problems. It's like me with the old Mortal Kombat games. I can't get into them, I really can't, but I respect everything that they did.
Yeah. I mean, there's a, franchises kind of differ in terms of like where everything in terms of like where everything is. I coined the term first in the series syndrome, which is like a case where like a game has like, you can see like all of the components together, but it's like the baseline is there, it's just like they haven't refined the formula. I can now say for certain that the Mega Man series has that, although I would argue that the Mega Man games don't actually get that good until 5. Having played all...
Well, it's interesting, because some people do have interesting takes on Mega Man. The general consensus is that 2 is the best, but even Cat Icarus thought 5 was the best, whereas most people don't think 5 is like one of the most boring. But again, everybody's different. Also, if you found the original gold for 20, that's really, really, really good, even if it's just the cartridge. Nicely done, Diodara, nicely done.
For $20? Yeah. Old games like that are not cheap. Although, in my experience, buying certain old Pokemon games is a fucking roulette wheel, because, like, I swear to God, I have had so many instances where, like, I ended up with, you know, like, old Pokemon game cartridges, and they just did not work. They did not fucking work. Like, I have all of the different Pokemon Gen 3 games, but, like, my copy of Ruby and Sapphire does not work. My copy of Emerald and the Fire Red and Leaf Green duology works, but the other two just do not work. Like, the Ruby version had its battery corrupted so that it couldn't hold a save file. In the Sapphire version, it worked at one point, but now it doesn't.
Weird. I mean, they are the oldest of them, technically speaking, but again, it's like I guess it's just strange when they like, with the battery backup dying. That's understandable, but for Sapphire to just not work is odd.
Yeah, it just straight up does not read the cartridge.
Weird. Very, very weird. I mean, thank God. But that's the thing, though. Trying to get old Pokemon games. I don't know if it's so much in America, because I know certain games, when it comes to pricing, can be kind of region-specific. But ever since Pokemon Go came out, retro Pokemon games in the UK are expensive as fuck. You got to pay £200 for Pokemon Conquest. Jesus
Louises.
Again, even if you want to play Gen 5, 50 to 60.
Yeah. If I will say another thing about this hack that I'm not a super fan of is that they use the Gen 4 soundtrack for a lot of the areas, and it's like I don't think Gen 4 soundtrack is bad. It's just it doesn't fit this game to me.
No, because GBA Pokemon, from it, both its style and music really go together. Now, I'm personally, again, I know I've pissed off so many people when I say this. I'm not the biggest fan of the trumpets, if you will. But
I mean, everyone clowns on the trumpets, but like, the songs are still good in my opinion. And there are plenty of songs that, you know, don't have the trumpets, and are really good. You know, I think of like Fortree City, or even songs that do have, you know, the trumpets. The Elite Four theme for this game, I still think, is probably my favorite Elite Four theme in the series.
And thank you, Diodara. But no, it's like, just generally, I don't like the GBA Pokemon sound font in general, but I know a lot of people do. But I think because of especially with the graphics and art style, the sound font works well with the way the game looks. So having the Gen 4 soundtrack in there probably be quite jarring, because also Gen 4 soundtrack is generally slower, whereas Gen 3 is quite fast and upbeat. Yeah,
that's part of it. But they have stuff. They do stuff like Lily Cove City in this hack uses the Snow Point City song, and I'm like, what? Why would you do that?
It is odd. Also, random double battles, that's cool.
Yeah, that's another feature of this hack. It actually does come in handy sometimes when you're trying to hunt for Pokemon.
Yeah, because you can isolate one, and then you've got a better chance of finding one, and there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Pokeball. And they also do that. Yeah, I do love that quality of life feature where if you capture the Pokemon, you still get EXP for it.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things about this hack. This hack has a lot of quality of life features. It has physical special split. It has catch EXP for Pokemon. It has the spread thing. I will say, because I'm playing on hard mode, one thing that hard mode does is not only is the battle style set, but it also has a level cap. So you can't go higher. You can't go higher than a certain level for each gym badge that you have. So, for example, up until I get Roxanne's badge, I'm stuck at a maximum of level 15.
To be fair, I think that's fair. Level 15 is more than enough.
Yeah. They also set they also changed up the gym leaders teams also.
Yeah, well, yeah, that I can understand because, often Pokemon gym leader teams are very easy to exploit.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call this a terribly hard game. It can catch you off guard sometimes.
Yeah, but unless it's one of those really, really, really crazy ROM hacks, generally speaking, Pokemon games are, by nature, pretty easy, and that's always been the point.
Yeah. Like, I tried playing Radical Red. Radical Red is a difficulty hack, and it's kind of a weird thing for me because, I was enjoying Radical Red, up until I got to the halfway point, and then I just got really tired of it for some reason. Because,
Was it too hard or just boring?
I don't even know what it was. I don't think it was, necessarily too hard, because, it's a hard hack, but they give you they make it so easy to build a worthwhile competitive team in that hack that it kind of does even out, and it does kind of circle back to the hack feeling more or less fair. But I don't know what it was. I just felt really tired of it by the halfway point. I can't even understand why. That's admittedly a bit of a thing with a lot of the Pokemon hacks that I've tried, and also on some of the mainline games, to be honest. So I've had a couple of playthroughs of certain mainline games where I just got tired at a certain point. Although that may be because of my bad habit of binging playing games. It's not a great,
especially for even for RPGs like Pokemon, that would get to you.
Yeah, that's not always best policy. Very rarely is best policy.
It's like the Some Call Me Johnny marathons, but you're not recording these for a video.
Yeah, no. I tried doing video game reviews once, and I realized that I am not great at pumping out certain kinds of content on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, you never know if you don't try at the end of the day. Some things stick, some things don't. I've tried that with my channel. There's some videos I tried, it's like, nope, this ain't working.
Yeah. I admittedly, I'm not really sure, I have that capacity to be, the content creator mindset of, just constantly pumping stuff out,
Yeah.
It's I sort of tried to do that with working on Black Dragon Beginnings, and I burnt myself out pretty hard on that. It's
yeah, but that's the thing, because the YouTube landscape these days has very much changed to content where now people are more content creators than they are YouTube personalities and videographers, where it's more about just making content rather than really going out of your way to make something more of an artistic thing. Because even if we go back to look at the Angry Video Game Nerd, his early videos, they weren't just video content. They were, the way they were shot, they were movies, kind of. They were small movies.
Yeah, in a sense.
Yeah, and I think some YouTubers they focus more so on that. It's not about pumping out content, it's about making videos that they're really passionate about, like Super Eye Patch Wolf and so on and so forth. That's why they usually have a big gap in between, because they take the time to do so. Yeah. And that's very respectable. I stick to that philosophy, but that philosophy comes with some setbacks, because in this current YouTube landscape, you can't really do that. Unfortunately, it's not just YouTube anyway. It's general social media landscape. It's all about just pushing out content rather than making high quality content. Obviously, I would definitely prioritize that, but it's not, the algorithm doesn't really favor it, whether it be TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, doesn't matter. I
mean, trying to strike a balance is kind of the ultimate quest. I don't know how many Pokemon I'm actually going to try and catch for going forward, because
you really want to use, cause
the thing is that I actually do want to 100% this on stream, just have that be kind of an overarching goal.
Does that include catching and evolving everything? Good lord.
It's not as painful as it sounds, because there are. The thing is that generally when I play this hack, I like to make my endgame team consist entirely of regional forms and fake mons, and the nice thing about that is that most of them are spread out just enough. Most of the ones that I end up wanting to use are spread out just enough that you can get away with that and still have space on your team to have every other Pokemon in your party level up as you're going through the game. So like, it's actually not that unrealistic to catch them all in this. The thing is that it does require a fair amount of post game grinding, but you know that's one of the benefits of playing on an emulator and having speed up features, is that you can speed through some of the tedious shit.
Yeah, so God, man, I can't imagine playing certain thingies now on like original hardware. I mean, I can for some, but some games I cannot play you on original hardware. I could never play Binding Blade on original hardware. No way in hell will I play on original hardware.
Like I'll be honest, like I feel like I should. I feel like I'm at a point where like I want to just play every RPG on an emulator nowadays, just for the sake of the speed up feature. As I did my time, I suffered through fucking Final Fantasy II Dawn of Souls edition on original hardware. I beat that game. It took me like a fucking month to do it because I got burned. Holy shit! This Lotad, for the record, is a 1% encounter rate, and I got it just randomly wandering around.
Holy crap! Lotad. I mean, Lotad is worth it because damn, Ludicolo's a good ass Pokemon.
Yeah. Low tier Tad.
I mean, he certainly isn't low tier. At least not this generation. He ain't low tier.
It's a reference to low tier God, for the record.
Yeah, get that ass bang. Oh boy, it's funny because I remember he like my brother. We watched. I wouldn't say watch. We more so kind of laughed at the compilations of him. Especially during Street Fighter V, that's when he became really popular. It's crazy how quickly he did the home close accept on the PS4. It's like, dude, working some magic.
Yeah.
That is a next level rage quit.
People are like, low tier God is super toxic. Like, low tier God is a fucking meme. No one takes him seriously.
That's the thing. It's so over exaggerated. It's more so silly than actual, toxic behavior. It's just ultimately being silly. Get that ass mate.
The one thing about this, is that you don't start encountering other Hoennian forms until you get to Petalburg Woods. So, like this early game, it does move a fair bit faster than you might expect, but it is a little slow for someone like me who only wants to use Hoennian forms.
That's fair enough, but you still got to ease players in at the end of the day because they're playing a Pokemon ROMHack, but it's still a whole new thing that they're experiencing. They've probably got to get used to new trainer types. This whole, the fact that they have all these new Pokemon to pick.
Yeah, because this not only has like Hoennian forms, but it also has a bunch of Pokemon from Gen 4 and onwards. Mostly just
again, you got a Shinx.
Yeah, it's mostly just for the sake of having all the evolutions for Gen 3 Pokemon that didn't have evolutions in the base game.
Well, Gen 3 was really notorious for locking away. Again, they locked away a lot of the full Pokedex Pokemon behind Pokemon Coliseum and XD. It's like, oh, you want to get all these Pokemon? Buy GameCube, buy GBA adapter, and buy this game and beat this game. Yeah,
and like with certain games, you have to beat the Elite Four before you can do it. You can actually trade anything.
Yeah.
There's a part of me there's like a sick part of me that wants to do like a charity stream where I try to complete the Pokedex in every single Pokemon generation. Sadly, it's probably not possible at this point because of certain online features shutting down.
You have to hack certain ones in.
Yeah. I mean, well, you'd have to. Well, the thing is that you'd technically have to hack in like certain event legendaries as well, even though a lot of them don't actually count towards Pokedex completion.
Yeah, but you'd even have to kind of do the hack thing to get trade evolutions.
Well, if you're playing on emulator, yeah.
Yeah, if you're playing on emulator, you got to use like one of those programs that let you alter your Pokemon's data. So you basically, it's like, yes, I traded. It's like, did you trade? Yes. Are you sure? Yes.
Yeah. This hack gets around it by just having all the trade evolutions be handled by a specific evolutionary stone.
Okay, that's useful. That's useful because I know a lot of I know it's for in the main games there are ways around it. When you're playing single player, it's just an annoyance. I get why Nintendo does it, and to be fair, Pokemon does it in a way that makes sense, especially for a franchise this big and now with Wi-Fi features. But again, if you're playing an older game and just playing it by yourself, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So one thing that makes going back to the DS games a little easier for me is because I actually have multiple DS systems. I have actually have 3 different DS systems if you count a 3DS, because it is backwards. Yeah, it is backwards compatible. So like if
3 backwards compatible turns out.
Routes. You do have to. You do have to capture a couple of different. You do actually have to capture certain Pokemon twice, because they have split evolutions. Routes is one. Poliwag is another.
Yeah, but again, that Pokemon's always been like that.
Yeah.
Probably just yeet a ball or something like that.
Early area. Might as well. Nope, that didn't work. Also, for those of you who are watching this stream from the future and are annoyed by me using the speed up feature, this is how I play this hack. So get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one playing the game. Do as you will.
Yeah. Admittedly, I think I may have said this, but like part of the fun for me with this hack is well, it's kind of a threefold thing. It's one, speed up feature helps eliminate some of the tedious stuff. 2 is that it's a nice blend of like it feels familiar, but also feels kind of fresh in its own way because of all of the new changes. Because in addition to new regional forms and Fakemon, they actually added a couple of special areas. Cool.
By the way, these portraits, did the person make themselves, or do they come from like a sprite sheet someone else made?
I do not know. I am actually in the Discord that Strudel Muffin has for this hack, but I don't know if they did it. I know that Strudel Muffin did make some custom battle animations for Fire Emblem, the Fire Emblem's hacking community, because I actually used some for certain projects, but I don't know if they actually made the portraits or if someone on the team they had for this hack did.
Yeah, because I know there's quite a lot of people who've done Pokemon hacks. Again, you think again, it's like, guys, if you're thinking there's a good amount of Fire Emblem ROM hacks, you ain't seen shit till you've seen Pokemon.
I mean, there's a lot of different communities that have a very healthy hacking scene. Like one thing that I've been really kind of addicted to lately is watching Ocarina of Time ROM hacks.
Yeah, Zelda, especially randomizers. People really like the Zelda randomizers.
Yeah. Well, the stuff they're doing, like, there's hacks that, like, make completely different games out of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And it's always really fun. You've got stuff like Sands of Time, the Ocarina of Time Indigo by Kent and M, which that is a bucket list hack to play on a stream. The only thing is that I need an actual controller for that, because I am not trying to do a fucking 3D game with keyboard and mouse controls.
Sweet merciful Jesus, no.
Yeah, no.
But no, like, because I've seen YouTube videos. Like, I remember there was a Crash Bandicoot 2 like hack they did, which was really, really cool. And there was Ocarina of Time hack where they made these custom bosses, and it was like, damn, this is really, really interesting. And it's funny how they use like mechanics the game's barely made use out of, but they use them to really, really interesting effect.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one of the things is that, that's why I've gravitated so much towards like playing these hacks and fan games, and it's why I want to make it my brand for streaming, is because I just really love all the creativity that comes from it, and there's so many Fire Emblem ROM hacks that I want to play. Strudel Muffin actually made a Sacred Stones hack called Sacred Stones Reforged, which has it's a really interesting sort of reinterpretation of Sacred Stones from like a game design's perspective. I actually had a lot of fun with it.
I assume they don't change like the story or anything.
They don't really change the story outside of like adding a couple of like really minor scenes here and there, which
But it's more of a gameplay tweak. But
It's-
that's cool because
it's more of a gameplay redesign where like in some cases they add a couple of like original characters just to sort of help with unit class distribution and stuff like that.
yeah, because Sacred Stone's cast is small.
Sacred Stone's cast is small, and you have stuff like so you'll have stuff like they actually put an extra dark mage that you can recruit early on in the game, and he was actually one of my favorite units to use when I played it.
Nice. And you have a Beautyfly.
Yes, I'm actually really surprised that I got a Silcoon from the Wurmple Split evolution, because like I swear to God, like 80% of the time when I play through this game, the first Wurmple I get always evolves into a fucking Cascoon. And it takes...
to this day, I still don't like how they handled the whole Silcoon Cascoon thing. It should have been like, they should have just made 2 different types of Wurmples, or maybe gender specific.
Yeah, it's like either gender specific or actually have it be a day or night cycle type thing. But no, it's literally completely random, and it's so stupid. Yeah, I think that going forward, at least for a little bit, I might just skip ahead and only catch Pokemon that I really want to use, and then I'll just go back for Dex completion at a later date.
Well, you can just feel free to catch them all again. If there's a brand new Pokemon, catch it, because everyone likes to see new Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, we'll have our first one of those coming up in Petalburg Woods.
Yeah. It's funny how the opening to Pokemon Emerald is kind of similar to Kanto. You start in the main area, go to another city, and then go to a forest.
Yeah.
And you have a rock gym with a museum.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The difference is, from there it gets very different, but that opening is almost one-to-one Kanto.
Yeah, I think some Call Me Johnny said that Hoenn reminded him a lot of Kanto, and he sort of was like kind of half and half on whether or not that was a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, Scott, I'm sorry.
Admit it.
I do not like Snubble.
Snubble. Yeah.
Never liked it.
Snubble. I don't really give a shit about Snubble. I like Gramble.
Okay.
I mean, there's plenty of people who like, they don't care for Snubble, but they like Gramble. I think Dan said he's one of those people.
Yeah, well, then again, the good amount of Pokemon are like that. It's like, I don't care for this evolution, but I care for the other one. It's like people who, I love Dragonair, fuck Dragonite.
I know. Those people drive me nuts. So this is our first proper Hoennian form, which is Hoennian Venonat. And this is one that we have to catch 2 of. One male and one female. It is a bug dark type.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting design. It's definitely a bit more... it's definitely a bit scarier, if you will. Not that Venonat is scary, but the kind of grayish contrasting with the red.
A little bit more like menacing and, dare I say, edgy.
Yes.
It has a really... This both of the Pokemon that it evolves into, because it evolves into different Pokemon based on gender, but both of the ones that it evolves into are pretty cool. One of them is like a Mothman-looking Pokemon, and the other one is a Bug Fairy type.
Wait. Yeah. This thing just doesn't want to get in the ball. And there we go.
I'm actually going to go and try and find the female version.
Is there a substantial amount of these variants, or is it like more like niche?
There's... Oh, God.
Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, like, about 40? Oh, slack off.
Okay.
That's actually pretty rare.
Amount.
Yeah. It's like 40 or 50 regional forms in Fakemon in total. Having surprisingly good luck with like rare encounters on stream.
Yeah, Slack Off is, I mean, we all know why Slack Off is good, because even if you don't get Slacking, Vigoroth's still pretty good Pokemon.
Honestly, like, Slacking's a Pokemon that I if I'm going back to the vanilla game, it's probably going to be in my team, because for like single player, it's honestly kind of overpowered.
Yeah, because Shroomish. This is a Pokemon I grew to love because Breloom is so good.
Yeah, if I'm playing, with Swampert as with Mudkip as my starter, I'm picking Breloom. I'm picking Breloom up at some point because 130 base attack, that shit is very useful.
And grass fighting with Sky Uppercut, very, very nice.
Yes.
But no, yeah, slacking in the main game is so easy because all you have to do is goes out one turn, kills the Pokemon, switch it out for maybe something else, or just wait. Because the thing about slacking is, especially at a non-competitive level, even if it's loafing around, it's so beefy, it can take the hits.
Yeah. And particularly like in Gen 3, where physical special split was not a thing, it has a bit more of a bigger viable move pool than it does in certain later games, in some ways.
Yeah, not to mention you could do the Hyper Beam exploit.
Yeah, Hyper Beam exploit, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Slacking doesn't always... The thing is, like, slacking doesn't always feel good to use in, like, the later games for some reason, but in Gen 3 it feels pretty good, probably just because of, like, Gen 3's weird jank of, like, not quite being there in terms of, like, Pokemon learn sets and stuff like that.
Yeah, because some Pokemon, they still don't have the best movesets and so on, whereas slacking, it can learn a good amount. And at that time, slacking's power level was immense.
Yeah.
These days, it's still immense, but there are other Pokemon who are also really, really strong. But back then, slacking was like, damn.
Yeah. I maintain that Pokemon level up move pools didn't get good until Gen 4.
No, it's true, it's true.
And, like, honestly, Gen 4 introduced so many, like, good, worthwhile moves for so many different types that I would consider it, like, the first real step of, like, real Pokemon power creep, which got a little out of control in Gen 5 and then kept getting a little more out of control every subsequent generation.
Yeah, well, Gen 5's power creep, I always felt Gen 5's power creep was more so, that was just overall power creep, because they didn't introduce, like, any new types or anything. Gen 6, there was the whole Mega Evolution fairy type gimmick, which contributed to the whole power creep. Gen 5 was just like, no, we're just going to make these Pokemon that are stupidly powerful.
Yeah. The irony is that Mega Evolution is not, in my opinion, is not even the most broken, like, generation gimmick in Pokemon. The most broken generation gimmick is Dynamax from Gen 8.
Yeah, Dynamax is crazy. Thing is, Mega Evolution was selectively broken. On the right Pokemon, it wasn't. On the wrong Pokemon, it was.
It's kind of like Terrestrialization with Gen 9. Is that there was a bit of a debate in competitive about just outright banning Terrestrialization, but I always saw it as like, no, Terrestrialization makes certain Pokemon broken, but, like, as a gameplay mechanic, like, Dynamax was broken because it essentially let you bypass the concept of opportunity cost. Like, you could set up and boost your stats while attacking the opponent, and it would work every single time, and the moves were all ridiculously powerful, so it's not like a power-up punch situation where, like, yeah, you're buffing yourself, but the move has really low base power. So it's like, it's essentially like you're hitting your opponent with a fucking Draco Meteor that also boosts your attack power or sets up a rain effect or something like that.
And that's not fun. That's not fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. I am trying to find this one female Hoenn Venomat. Come on.
Don't worry, you'll find it. That's the thing with Pokemon. It's like
It's a male. You said it, and it's a male.
Yeah. One of those things, like, when you're looking for it, it's not going to appear. When you're not looking for it, this is an abundance.
There's a 1% encounter rate for Ferrothorn. Watch me get that.
Hey, hello, Armory.
Armory! You're here! Stopping by. Good to see you, my dude.
Thanks for stopping by, as they say in Fire Emblem Fates. Yeah, but it's just interesting with Pokemon. But I do agree. Gen 4 is when I think just every type kind of became viable, just because they can actually hit for a decent thing. Because back then, like some Pokemon types were good because of their properties, like Ghost, but Ghost really couldn't hit for shit. But now, like Gen 4, especially Bug types. Oh god, Bug types.
Yeah. Well, like Ghost was a weird case where it was kind of a case of the physical special split mismatch because like there weren't really any good physical Ghost types. Like
there was one, and
I think it was like Bayonet was the only one that had an attack stat that was worth a damn. Like.
I thought Dusclop's a decent attack, or at least better.
Dusclops didn't. It had better attack than it had special attack, but it wasn't really anything to write home about.
Yeah, it was more of a defensive Pokemon anyway.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, again, most of them didn't have an attack stat worth a damn.
Yeah.
At least with dragons, yeah, their special attack was usually less than their attack, but their special attack was still good.
It's like there's very few Pokemon that the physical special split actually hurt because like the only one that I can really think of is Sceptile.
Sceptile, it hurts. I know it. I do think it hurt another one, but I can't remember who.
Houndoom sort of got hurt because like it could use Dark Pulse, but it didn't learn it naturally, so that made getting it Dark Special Stab. Okay, finally, it made getting it Dark Special Stab a little awkward, but like that's not really like a full case of it.
Oh, no, I'm trying to think. I think there was an instance, but I don't fully remember because again, most of the time, because even with poison types, like no, again, you might be right. You might be right. I think Sceptile was the only one who really didn't benefit from the physical special split, but again, it's like 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah. Also, Armory, don't feel bad about missing my first stream yesterday, because it was very late in the evening for you. I understand completely, my dude. And I had plenty of company while I was working on my writing for Chapter 7. Alright. And now to go back and add the newbies to my team. I want to make use of all the new regional forms. I want to at least show them off.
Yeah, no, again, that's what you want to see about these hacks. Because, again, they're, like, you know, as much as it is fun to watch and stuff like that, and as much as people love seeing their own Pokemon and their content creators or the people they admire, their entertainers play through, if you get to see something that's completely unique to this game, show something that's completely unique to this game.
Impish Nature is not great for these Pokemon because they're special attackers, but you know what? I'm probably not going to use them very long term, so it doesn't matter that much.
Also, is it a case of, you know, the natures in the main game don't really matter?
I care about natures because I've had instances where having a bad nature has screwed me out of some getting some KOs that I needed to get. So like I try not to I try to at least have like a neutral nature for the Pokemon's most worthwhile stats as much as I can. Like sometimes if I've like been searching for a Pokemon for a long time, I won't be as anal about it, but you know, it's just a personal thing for me.
No, I get you. Because especially, like, you know, if it's a rare Pokemon, it's like, look, I can only catch so many of these damn things.
Yeah.
But no, I get it, because the only time I've ever personally got a different one is when... This is actually when I was playing Emerald. I got a Gardevoir with an attack plus special defense down nature, and like, that's awful, because I'm never going to use her attack stat.
Yeah. And we have the resident Team Aqua Grunt.
Of course.
The one thing with this Dreepy is that it does get Dragon Rage at an early level, which is broken for obvious reasons.
Dragon Rage is the bane of any Nuzlocke player.
Oh, Dragon Rage is like the worst fucking thing at low levels. It is basically always an insta-kill or a 2-hit kill.
We had to reset when we first did it. This is the Pokemon Black 2 randomized Nuzlocke. Like, literally, the first Pokemon we ran into were Garchomps with Dragon Rage. We was like, nope, we can't do this, we got to reset. It was so bad.
Rage quit.
Yeah, Dragon Rage quit.
Good one. So how much longer do you plan on staying? Because I know you have to get ready for your own stream.
30 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. I'm probably just gonna rush ahead to Rustboro City and try and get the badge from Roxanne in that time. I'm still gonna fight every trainer on the way because I am hardwired to get as much experience as I can to avoid later game grinding.
Well, at least in this game, the grinding won't be as bad because again, all your Pokemon get an equal thing. So once one Pokemon's done, the rest of them are done too.
That is true. That is also true.
Yeah.
And also level caps.
I'm sure that maybe if you find like a lucky egg, then everyone gets the big benefits.
Oh yeah, the lucky egg actually shows up pretty early. It's they changed it to instead of, because in the vanilla game, the Trick Master house, the first reward you get is a rare candy. They changed it in this game, so it's the lucky egg from the first one.
Yeah, which is better. Because rare candies cool, but they're not. Ironically, rare candies are cool, but they're not actually that rare. Yeah. They're medium rare items, if I don't mind saying. Oh yeah, Hoenn's berries.
Yep.
And again, there's a lot of attention to detail in. This is the GBA in general. I don't know what it was, but the developers, like a lot of developers, worked fucking magic on the GBA sprite work.
Oh yeah.
Pokemon, there's so much attention to detail in the environments, like how the flowers move. And don't get me started on, like, we all know Fire Emblem, but don't get me started on the Sonic sprites. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, the Sonic sprites are, like, not just gorgeous. They look good, but the fucking animations. Like, I had Sonic Advance growing up, and like, I haven't touched that game in a while, but like, I do remember, so much personality from the animations.
Yeah, and even like Castlevania has really good ones. Mario and Luigi, those games look really, really good. Again, man, GBA was working some magical sprite work. It really was.
Not that much of a Pokemon.
Metroid, yeah, the fusion and thing. They weren't so much in terms of animations, but the sprite quality of like some of the monsters, like the Nightmare. Oh yeah,
the sprite quality in the Metroid games. I'm not much of a Pokemon guy. I'm surprised that you're into Pokemon. Pokemon Red and Blue were the first real video games I ever played, my dude. As I said, stopping by. Keep up the work on your hack, Zane. See you soon. Alright, take care, Armory. Good to see you.
I think just about every... especially if you play like Fire Emblem or like if you play Nintendo, there's a chance you've played Pokemon, even if you've played other Nintendo games.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that for me, like, the types of games that I tend to be into are kind of limited to like some form of action or adventure game or RPG of some sort. So.
Well, everyone likes their genres.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if like because I'm trying to think of like other game genres. I mean, I like puzzle games well enough. I don't know if I would say that they're. I don't know if I would say that they're like a favorite genre for me, but I do play a fair amount of them, like especially mobile games.
No, again, they don't have to be a favorite genre, but you know.
Now we get to see a little bit of what this this Venonat can do, which is not much because it's still kind of low leveled. Oh, hey, everything and you? How you doing? I'm doing well, for the most part, despite the fact that I stayed up all night, because I am a dumbass.
Hey man, sometimes it happens. Bloody insomnia.
Yeah. For me, it's not so much insomnia, it's just a case of, like, I'm just having trouble shutting down. You know what the problem is? I've come to realize is that my issue is that I'm finding more and more that like I cannot have my electronics in my like lying in my bed, because that I feel like that is the real problem for me. But the problem is that I don't really have a whole lot of other spaces in the house to really like use my stuff.
I see. So, like, them being in your bed, it's the most convenient given the situation.
It's the most convenient, and I feel like it's the thing that, like, really keeps me up.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. It's tough, because, like, my mom... I drive my mom nuts by wearing headphones around the house a lot of the time, and it's mostly just a case of, like, to keep private, you know, the stuff I'm listening to, because like because I don't necessarily want to have like videos where there's a ton of swearing around my parents or stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's one of those things where it's like it's one of those things where like it also means that, you know, if my mom wants or needs to talk to me, then she gets annoyed because I can't hear her.
Yeah, I get it. I
know.
Hey, free berry.
Your berry. Yep.
I know it's such a small detail, but I love in the Pokemon games where you walk past pools of water and your reflection shows.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a small thing, but it's lovely.
Yeah, I think they actually that Strudel Muffin actually had custom tile sets for this hack. I don't know. Because like there's definitely a couple of cases where like I look at some of the environments, I'm like, that is not a vanilla Pokemon Emerald tile set unless I'm mistaken. Because like there's a couple of points where like the colors are just a bit more like saturated or a little bit richer.
Yeah.
Than I remember the GBA games being. Part of that is, you know, viewing them on a completely different screen, but
yeah, because you know,
but it does look really nice. Like, I mean, the thing is that as much as we like to talk up the GBA sprites, and I certainly have my love for them, the one thing is that, you know, the lack of backlit screen does sometimes cause them to be a little bit much in terms of like
color palette. The color palette of GBA games can be weird. That's why I know there's like certain videos going into it, how you can change the RGB values to be what they're meant to be. And again, I'm so surprised Nintendo did this, but the GBA emulator on Switch Online actually did that, because if you play FE7, it looks a lot better with...
Oh yeah, FE7 looks so much better on the Switch emulation, because the colors are all deeper and richer.
Yeah, it's so funny how this, because again, I still have my problems with Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo's general emulation, but sometimes they'll just emulate certain games so well. Like, I posted recently when I beat.
I was gonna say you're posting about the Majora's Mask.
And that's funny. It's like literally, like not counting the 3DS version, because that's a different game technically. The Switch version of Majora's Mask is the best version of Majora's Mask. A lot of players have said that, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. It plays and looks and sounds incredible.
Yeah,
and it's hard because when Nintendo first did the Switch Online, the Ocarina of Time was awful.
Yeah, has it gotten better as time has gone on?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they did fix it, but no, the first one was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Not only did it look horrible, but there was like terrible input lag.
Oh yeah. Because like I've heard rumblings from certain people that I mean, like Majora's Mask 3D is kind of a bit of a polarizing game from like a game design perspective, but I feel like the graphical style was kind of one of those complaints that some people might have made of it. I don't watch Narel's stuff. And honestly, I think like the little I've seen of him, he kind of seems like a bit of a nitpicker, honestly. But I think that there was like a thing. I know that Eyepatch Wolf shouted him out, and like I saw, and he like talked about the concept of how a lot of design decisions and but a lot of stuff about Majora's Mask 3D kind of robbed the game of its heart and soul. But like I apparently like the some of the graphic stuff was in that, and like Narelle has a thing where like he would rather play a texture fix N64 emulation patch for Majora's Mask than play MM3D.
Yeah. Well, again, the whole graphic style with MM3D, what they went for is they went really hard on the color palette, because Majora's Mask is already quite the colorful game, but with 3D they overdid it, and in some cases it does look nice, but it's basically just like a lot of it's like kind of oversaturated purples and stuff like that, and it kind of takes away from the kind of, because Majora's Mask, like I said, it always had color to it. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Rock poison type Hoenn Marini. It's Wolfox who has the incredible hate for Toxapex, right?
Yes, it is Wolf. He's not a fan of Toxapex. But the thing is, like, the N64 version, it was more about like how it used the lighting more so to bring out its colors rather than just going crazy with the color palette.
Okay.
And the 3DS one doesn't really do that, but it still looks surreal. Like, it doesn't look as dark, but it definitely looks surreal. So I think it's just a different art direction. I know some people really don't like the 3DS version of Majora's Mask. I prefer N64, but I'll admit, 3DS is better. It is just straight up a better game, but I think Majora's Mask, if you want the optimal experience, the N64 way is the best way to play it. But again, optimal experience doesn't mean... optimal experience is only for a certain select number of people. It's kind of like the people who say, like, I don't know, maybe this version of Devil May Cry is the best version because of certain limitations. But it's like, yeah, but this version of Devil May Cry is much easier for people to play. I'm going to recommend them the easier one, because remember, you've got to understand that some people are coming from a place where they may not be Zelda fans, or they may not, again, the original Majora's Mask may have turned them off. So if you can recommend someone an easy version just so they can play the game, do that. Optimal version is for those who already love the game, not just to start with.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tricky because, like, I think part of the thing with Majora's Mask 3D was that Ocarina of Time 3D was kind of just a straight upgrade of the original game. Like, as much nostalgia as I have for the original N64 version, like, I'm not sure I could go back to it without the fucking gyroscope aiming controls for the items.
Yeah, and like, you know, switching the boots so easily.
Oh yeah, switching the boots so easily. That's a huge thing. It makes the water temple so much less annoying.
But that's the thing, though. Ocarina of Time, no one really had problems with Ocarina of Time, so all they needed to upgrade. Majora's Mask had problems.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Ocarina of Time 3D is not perfect, because I think that them lightening up the... increasing the brightness of the lighting does kind of hurt the atmosphere in a couple places, but, like, it's a super minor thing compared to everything else.
Absolutely. Again, it's just one of those things at the end of the day, because, you know, it's more of a preference thing. You know, I have a preference for the older version, but the 3D versions are the better games. Not to mention, again, they are for a new generation of people. Ocarina of Time is easy enough to get into for everybody, but this was a new generation of people playing Majora's Mask. Do you really, especially the type of gamers we deal with now, do you really think they could stomach the N64 version?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as, like, it's like when I watched some of the old Cat Icarus videos where he talked about, like, Medieval, the Medieval remake on PS4 and the and comparing it to the original, and, like, some of his logic was, like, it kind of made me do a double take of, like, you know, oh, like, the outdated animations kind of make Dan a little bit more jittery and, like, more like actual gothic horror, but, like, I kind of raised my eyebrows at that as, like, it's something that, like, you would only notice if you actually grew up playing the game. Let's be real.
I think the jittery animations better reflect the time period.
Yeah.
If they reflect that PS1 era, because PS1 games all had jittery animations.
Yeah. I don't know. It's always weird when, like, you have people getting into cases of, like,
specific detail. Very specific.
Well, not even, like, very specific details of, but instances where you have people comparing outdated, like outdated graphics to modern graphics, and like, you know, getting a little bit into the weeds of like, you know, what these different animations do well. And it's like, I mean, it's not that it's not interesting. It's just, it kind of feels like a bunch of baloney to me in some cases. Cause like, I don't know. It's just, I'm a bit of a graphics whore, and like, I appreciate, you know, I appreciate graphics.
Do you think it's a case of they're kind of overblowing the whatever it is argument they're trying to have? Like, you can point out the differences in the graphic thing, but does that really affect the overall experience?
I mean, for me, like, going back to Ocarina of Time, you know, like, when I talk about, you know, original Ocarina of Time, I think that the Ganon fight in original Ocarina of Time is a bit more atmospheric and a little cooler because you can't see him because of the lighting. Super clearly. But it's like one of those things where like I'm not gonna split hairs over it, you know, the fact that the 3D version isn't quite the same, you know, because it's a different console, it's a different sort of thing, you know, and you know, it does annoy me a little bit that, you know, you can tell that Ganon is like a little bit more of a pig monster in the 3D version, because like I always thought he kind of looked draconic in the original, and that always made it my favorite Ganon still kind of is.
Best Ganon design.
Oh, it still kind of is, yeah.
But what you're saying is it's a preference. You prefer the way it looks because you felt it added this thing, and that's perfectly fine. But again, don't confuse preference with criticism.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of cases where like I don't know. I've always kind of said that like objective quality when it comes to media is very much a meme. You know, it's like it's not that you can't like point at something and say, okay, this is objectively shit, but like at the end of the day, it is all just your perspective and like what you do and don't like. And at the end of the day, like it is very difficult to confuse. I personally did not like this for this functionally does not work.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, look, if you've been on the internet long enough, when people say something is objectively good or bad, you can find people fighting tooth or nail to think, because there are people to this day, like you could say Sonic 06 is an objectively bad game. There are people who could write a fucking Bible as to why it isn't.
I know. And like the thing is, Sonic 06 is very much, you know, a good example of like, you know, there's plenty of people out there who have, you know, their preference for, you know, elements of it. Some call me Johnny, for instance. You know, he's admitted that he actually kind of likes the Sonic parts of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you know, it's like you have to take the whole game into consideration.
Well, again, no, that happens.
Wow.
That happens a lot with Sonic games. I especially see it now where it's like, again, it happens with Unleashed and it happens with Black Knight, because people love the way Sonic is characterized in Sonic and the Black Knight, and I get it. Oh, skid. I get it. I do think the characterization's good, and like I can understand that. But when people start saying it's one of the best Sonic games purely because of that, it's like, look, that bit's excellent, but you still have to play the game, and I'm sorry, the gameplay is not good. something Shadows of Valentia in my case. And again, that's the thing.
I'm running into all the like the kind of rare Pokemon here. Sorry, you were saying.
Hey, that's good stuff. But no, people do kind of hyperfixate on the stuff that they either like or dislike rather than looking at things as a whole. Again, to me, that was literally the whole debacle behind Fire Emblem Fates. Everyone was so fixated on hating on the story, which again, valid, doesn't have a good story, but it's like, yeah, but you're completely ignoring its, you know, presentation, its soundtrack, its amazing gameplay engine. If you don't like the story, I can understand that, but is that enough to call the game like terrible? I personally don't think so.
I mean, that's kind of a weird one. I tried to go back to Conquest not too long ago, and like I just couldn't do it. Because I'm sorry, but that Conquest's maps are just ridiculously hard, honestly.
Yeah, but that's a difficulty thing, you know, and stuff like that. And again, that's understandable. Conquest is meant to be hard, and if you can't handle the difficulty, that's fine. Don't play it. But again, does that make the game bad?
No, I mean, and that's the thing is that, you know, that's another problem that the internet has is a tendency to cherry pick like elements and judge things based on that. Like I will say that like Fire Emblem Fates is, gameplay has problems, but it's one of those things where it's like I can't really. It's like, yeah, I 100% agree that like the one part of the thing being bad is not and should not be a common condemnation of the game as a whole.
Complete condemnation.
Yeah.
Hey, Mighty Anna.
Yeah.
But again, people love to cherry pick, but there's also what they do to defend games when there's like, oh, this game is great because this one particular aspect is good. It's like, yeah, but what about the rest of the game? Don't talk about that.
I'm gonna be real. I low-key did that for Engage's story. I will admit that I kind of was like, this is not the worst thing in the world. And then time kind of went on, and I was like, okay, I was definitely cherry picking because like I had a bit of a stick up my ass about Engage, partially because of like I was annoyed at how everybody reacted to those initial trailers.
To fair, people again weren't biggest fans of it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the initial trailer. I'm glad that it found an audience. I'm glad that it did do well. Mm-hmm. It ended up better than what people thought it would be.
Yeah,
which is good.
No, like I still think that Engage from a gameplay standpoint is like top 5 Fire Emblems for me.
Oh, I agree. It's top 3. It's between Fates, DS, and Engage.
Yeah. Wait, DS? In terms of like
DS
gameplay?
Fire Emblem.
Really?
Yeah, DS Fire Emblem's amazing. Not only is the map design solid, but the class system, the reclassing is really, really damn good, and just the way it's set up and all that stuff, and forging, really, really good. Admittedly, I don't like that the classes are more limited than before, like, because it went back to Shadow Dragon, we missed out on the likes of Assassin and Great Knight and so on. Yeah. But the actual DS gameplay engine, really, really good.
I would... I'm a little bit of two minds about it. Obviously, I've only played Shadow Dragon. I haven't played New Mystery.
New Mystery does do a better job.
Yeah. Because the one thing with Shadow Dragon is, I mean, for me, Shadow Dragon's big problem is just a colossal amount of wasted potential, particularly with the story and updating the dialogue. But like I also have issues with like the gameplay and the fact that they didn't really update any of like the maps or the enemy design because most of the enemies are still wielding lances, and yet they added the weapon triangle in, and that makes certain characters completely useless, or certain classes completely useless.
Yeah, that's more of a game design. I'm more talking about the gameplay engine, like the mechanics.
Yeah. Like mechanically, I do think that the free reclassing is pretty fun to mess around with. Although, admittedly, I didn't make use of that in my first playthrough. I might have to go back and like try that out again.
It is interesting to see what certain characters are like when placed into certain things. Because I remember when we were playing New Mystery and we reclassed Draug into a Cav, he was crazy good.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. But again, like, that's the thing. Because I remember talking to Jay about this, where gameplay in Fire Emblem, it's very, like, there's so many facets to consider and stuff like that. Because, like, obviously, Three Houses is the best example. Because Jay was saying, like, because me and Jay were saying, we came to this kind of conclusion. Three Houses is a really good gameplay engine, but it has poor map design. But then, obviously, and then, so how would you class the gameplay as a whole?
I mean, for me personally, I'm finding more and more that I gravitate more towards, like, the actual mechanics, because, again, going back to Engage's map design, it's not as bad as Three Houses, but, it has its moments.
Every Fire Emblem game has moments with map design, yeah.
Well, Engage's main problem is just enemy spam, particularly... Like particularly towards like the start of the end game. The Devon Corporation president's portrait is so stupid looking. He looks stoned.
Yeah. Dude. Well, he is in a place made of rock and stone. So you're saying about Fates is not Fates, Three Houses gameplay and like stuff.
Yeah. So for me, Three Houses, yes, it is an amazing gameplay engine. For me personally, like the thing is that with the bad map design, how would I put this? Because I'm trying to find the words. I think that very few, like, the thing is that very few three houses maps legitimately angered me. I really feel like the only maps that really angered me were, like, the Cindered Shadows maps. But, like, even stuff where, like Marianne's Paralog, with all of the monsters running around, like, it's a horribly designed map. Like, any map that has so many of those monsters is already going to be called is already going to be suspect in terms of design, because just the way you have to fight monsters, you only have so many chances to use the gambits, and those are like the way to kill monsters. So if you have so many of them, if you have so many monsters and, like, you can't use gambits on all of them, it makes the map a lot harder and a lot more frustrating. But, like, you know, stuff like that Paralog and the Cindered Shadow, or the Silver Snow finale, I've heard a lot of people complain about that. I didn't really find that map as bad because it's pretty easy to just bum rush your way to victory. So it's kind of a case of, I would say that overall the Three Houses map design is not bad enough that it subtracts from the good gameplay engine.
At
least for me.
That, but also based on what you've said to me and stuff like that, because like you said, you can clearly identify bad map design just from, like, enemy placement and so on. But Three Houses, most of the maps aren't bad. They just more so come down to being a bit boring. Whereas like with Engage and Conquest, some of them can be frustrating. I think for you personally, frustrating map is worse than a boring map.
To some extent, like with Shadows of Valentia, Shadows of Valentia was kind of a case of, like, they were both frustrating and boring, which is kind of the worst combination for me. But
because then no one's having fun.
Yeah, I played. I talked about this. I want to have you on stream for playing Sacred Echoes at some point.
The GBA demake.
Yeah, the GBA demake, because, like, I think it's only just okay as, like, an overall experience, but compared to SOV, it is so much better, like, night and day, because
Good Lord, I mean, if that's how you feel, if you feel the thing is okay, but that much better than SOV, what do you think of SOV?
I think, well, I may have said this before, I think Shadows of Valentia is my personal least favorite Fire Emblem. Yeah, straight up. There are others that probably have worse qualities, like, I've always, I actually think that Birthright might be one of my I actually prefer Birthright to Conquest, honestly, just because of...
Maybe Rev then?
I would need to play Revelations again. That game is a mess, but it's one of them where I feel like it's probably a mess that I enjoy, because I just really liked the idea of being able to use all of the different Hoshido and Nor units together.
You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I get the best of both worlds. Hannah Montana. But yeah, Revelation is probably worse. Shadow Dragon always felt a little soulless in a lot of ways, but, like, as you said, it actually does have some pretty well thought out mechanics. Shadows of Valentia for me, it's not just that I don't like playing the game, it's also, I think it is one of the biggest cases of missed potential in the series. It's got kind of the Paper Mario sticker star effect of, like, everything that's good about it is canceled out by two bad things. And also, I personally have a grudge against it because it made the Fire Emblem community discourse actually more toxic for, like, a couple of years.
That I think that depends on where you go, because I mean, when it comes to Fire
At
Emblem,
least for me personally, because like there were like people like Zerk and a few others were like sack riding that game a little bit.
No, I agree. I do remember that. They were everyone was kind of jacking off Echoes purely on the grounds of the story was better than Fate's. Echo, it's an amazing game. It's like, no, like, I'll admit the story is better than Fate's story, but that's not a high bar. That's like saying, again, that's like jacking off Awakening because it has a better story than Fate. But that doesn't, again, you know what it is? You're confusing good and bad with better and worse.
Yeah, more or less.
I was going to say, sorry, going back to, because I was thinking for your least favorite Fire Emblem game, what about Vanilla Binding Blade?
Vanilla Binding Blade, I am a little more forgiving because I will say that Vanilla Binding Blade took me a little bit to actually finish. But the thing is with Vanilla Binding Blade, I can kind of forgive it because even though it's not the first game in the series, it has a little bit of first in the series syndrome because it was the first. It was the first GBA game, and it was the first one to use the GBA style of Fire Emblem gameplay. So I can kind of forgive it on that. I will say that Binding Blade gets a little bit more enjoyable the more you progress in the game. Like if you can get past like. I think that once I got past chapter 16 or so, I didn't really like find any map that I hated, but also that's half the game, and like the early game is absolutely miserable. With Shadows of Valentia, it was actually kind of the opposite, where I think the first third of that game is actually pretty good, but it runs out of steam very quickly. Like around. Like part 3, honestly, is where the rot really starts to set in, and it just never recovers.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna love you and leave you, but thank you so much for having me on by for this stream. This is a really cool hack, and it's been really cool discussing this stuff with you. Yeah. I will see you later, and see you later, chat. Yeah. See you later. Honestly, I was planning to end the stream right now, anyways. Okay. Well, see you guys later anyway. Yeah. Bye bye. All right. But yeah. I don't feel great about trying to commentate this myself. Everything in you, I'm sorry for not noticing your most recent message later. But yeah, if you're still here, thank you for sticking around for me and Lewis rambling about our tastes in video games. But yeah, no, this was pretty fun. Yeah, I'm actually not planning on streaming tomorrow or Sunday, because I have some stuff going on that makes it kind of hard to do it. But over the weekend, I will try to... come up with a schedule for how streaming is going to go next for the upcoming week. So look forward to that, either Saturday or Sunday, probably Sunday. And yeah, thank you for sticking around, those of you who did. And if you're watching this from the future, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys later.